In this video, we're going to have a look at profiles. So if I go into my settings cog at the top here and go to my settings, I can see the profile that I'm currently using, which is the Business Manager Evaluation. If I click into the Assist edit there, I can see all of the roles which are currently active in my organisation. Okay, so the available roles. So within here, I can switch. So if I want to be a project manager today, I can switch over to the project manager role center, and that's going to change my role center to the project manager. Okay. So there are a number of, all of these profiles are pre-installed. So if we go and search for profiles, used to be called roles. So if you go to profiles, this is a list of all of the pre-installed profiles. As you can see, there are slightly more here than were on my settings page. And we can see here, so for each, we've got the profile ID, we've got the name, we've then got the source, so where it's come from, and we can see whether or not that profile is enabled. So if it is enabled, then it can be used. And if we show it in the Role Explorer, then we can also see it. So if we wanted to remove some of these roles from use, so let's say I wanted to get rid of the project manager, we can go and disable that. Now it's given me an error there to say that I can't because somebody's currently using it. Okay. Now, obviously, I know that I'm using that role center, but obviously, if there was other users using that role center and I wanted to disable it, I potentially have to go and unassign it from them. So we can do that by going to user settings, and in here we can see a list of all the users and which role centers they're using. Okay. So I can go into here, I can edit this, and I can change the role center for myself. So if we go back to Business Manager Evaluation, okay, so that's now changed. I should now be able to disable that. Okay, so I can now disable the project manager. Come back up to my role center and just refresh. And we should now be in as a business manager again. Okay, so if I go back into my settings, go back into roles, we can see that project manager is now disappeared. Okay, so I always recommend users to pick a role center which suits the daily tasks that they're actually doing. It isn't restricted to the view that you actually get on the role center page. It's actually, the profile itself is actually driving the layout and look and feel of every single page in the application. Okay, so they're quite powerful. It's important to remember that the profiles are only a layout, so they're not giving you permission to do anything. So if I switched over to an HR manager, and I didn't have access to any of the HR data, I'm not going to suddenly be able to access all the employee private information. That is done via permission. So anything that you can actually interact with in the system is controlled via permissions. The profile is just your layout within the system. Okay. If we just go back into profiles, just a couple of other things to notice. So I did do another video on profile personalization for users. And when a user is personalizing their profile, that personalization, those changes are only relevant to them. Okay. What you can do within a profile is you can disable personalization. So you can disable the personalization, and then any users using that role won't have the personalization option available to them when they're using that profile. Okay. So if you want sort of a good level of control over this, you could restrict down to the sort of the minimum number of profiles that you need. You can disable personalization if you don't want users to actually change the layout themselves. And then if you need to actually change the profiles for your own company requirements, it's better done through Customize. Okay. Only other thing to really have a look at on the actual profile card is the default profile. So you can set the default profile, and that is the profile that a new user will automatically pick up when they get added to Business Central. Okay, so you don't choose your role center when you first log in, you are assigned the default. Okay, I'll do another video on customization because it's a bit more in depth. So that's a sort of brief explanation of the profiles, how we can enable them, how we can show them in the Role Explorer, how we can switch them as a user, and how that they can actually behave in terms of the system functionality. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. If you did, drop the video a like, consider subscribing for future content, and if you've got any comments, just drop them below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.